Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are live at those three locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button so that you get notified every single time we go live. For example, this coming Friday, 2 days from now, on June 24th, when we have a massive Kenobi roundtable. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And don't forget to go get your customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. Without further ado, let me bring in my co-host and my brother, AJ. We are both apparently broadcasting from Mustafar tonight because both of us have no air conditioning and it's 90 degrees in each of our locations.
If I just suffocate or asphyxiate right here on the stream, just somebody send help. Make sure my dog and my cat get out alive. That's other than that, who cares?
We've had power We've had power outages over here. The internet was wonky about a half hour before I went on. It's been this heat is, there's actually people that enjoy this, which,
they live in places that do this. Yeah.
If I could quote Anchorman 2, no offense, but you are a stupid asshole. This is miserable, dude. I'm like,
I'm just keeping an eye on my Lego back here. If it starts to melt, then I'll know I got to do something about it.
Nice. So, so we picked a perfect night to do the show. The finale of Kenobi actually fell on a day we are broadcasting. So I watched it. I just got done less than an hour ago. Kale, our good buddy Kale McLeish, all the way from Western Australia, says he's Googling how to reach 911 from Western Australia to get AJ some help. Yeah, send for AJ first. At least there's air conditioning in my place downstairs. I'm
well, remember, Kale, you're on the southern half of the planet, so dial 116.
Well played. Well played. So I just got done watching the last episode of Kenobi less than an hour ago. So perfect time for us to jump in and talk about it. I know that you watched it earlier, so you actually came up with some questions that you wanted to ask me about the show. So did you want to do that now, or do you just want to kind of freeform it for a while and then bring up your questions after we've kind of given our thoughts?
Yeah, just freeform it. I mean, give me a top-down perspective. What do you think of the series overall?
The show fucking rules. Period. The end. I can't think of anything.
We are brought to you by audible.com.
On that note, let's just close up shop.
Yep. Nothing more to talk about. We covered it.
Dude, I can't. Yeah. I can't think of anything that I disliked. I kind of figured that everyone freaked out for no reason. In the first two episodes, when they were wondering about the writing and kind of bitching, I was like, just let everything play out. Specifically. By the way, before we get into it, we did forget one important thing, AJ. There will be spoilers, so we are not holding back from spoilers. Yeah, so we're gonna spoil everything. So if you haven't seen the finale, just don't, or if you don't care about having spoiled, just keep watching. So, the whole thing with the Grand Inquisitor and him getting off, everybody's like, well, how could they do that? Well, patience. I say patience. And he was back. So that was cool. The twist on Reva's character was really, really cool, how she was actually hunting Vader and using Obi-Wan as the bait. That was really, really cool. The whole thing was just great. And, it was one of those things where, it got a little annoying for a second when, Obi-Wan was weak in the Force. But I suspended disbelief. I was like, well, they can't just leave him being like a wuss the whole time. They're not going to have this whole show and have Vader just kick the crap out of him and then Obi-Wan runs away and then we get to episode 4. Like, they can't do that. They just can't. So sure enough, it was they had him come back and everything. And man, I've already seen some people online saying, yeah, Lucasfilm kind of, hyped up that lightsaber battle a little much. It wasn't quite on par with Revenge of the Sith. It's like, look, if it's anywhere near the battle in Revenge of the Sith, you're doing a damn good job, because that was awesome. So, I mean, the finale was, dude, it was like I teared up a couple times, and oh my God, it was awesome. It was amazing. I loved it. What did you think?
I think it's a great show. Definitely better than Book of Boba Fett. There's been a lot of comparisons online about, certain like structural things that they did in both series and how one did it better than the other, like the flashback, for example. Because, everybody like crapped on the flashbacks in Book of Boba Fett because they're like, it doesn't correlate to anything happening in the present day story. It's just like two storylines running in the same episode for no reason.
Yeah.
And then, the 5th episode of Kenobi comes along and it's like all intercut and it's like a perfect parallel. Like you could see why this point in the past matters to this point in the present. And
yep.
Yeah, like this whole thing just seems like it was a better idea from the start, I think. So it just benefited from stronger writing overall.
Yeah.
I liked all the new characters they introduced. We were talking about it because we saw it when we were at Celebration. I never even considered bringing young Leia into it as the thing that would get Obi-Wan off his ass and off of Tatooine.
Yeah.
So like right off the bat from like the very first episode, I was like, oh, cool. Clearly they've thought this out in a way that I never conceived of. And that's all I want, really. Like you were saying ahead of going live that people were complaining that like, nothing much happens and, what's the point of the whole show? And as long as you give me like some compelling swerves that like I can't even conceive of, then I'm along for the ride anyway. So I think the story was good. I think that seeing Vader square off against Kenobi was really interesting. And I think, like you said, Reva was a really cool character and really compelling the way it was a swerve the whole time. In fact, she was the youngling in the very first scene of the first episode.
Yeah.
So like you saw the villain from the very first take, and it took like what, 3 episodes, 4 episodes before they actually explicitly told you, oh yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Like if I had to find anything to gripe about, I would just say I wanted to see this with a movie budget, because the limitations of, the TV budget and the technology kind of showed itself here and there. But other than that, what is there to complain about?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And you and I have talked about, we want another movie. We want another movie. I would say that I'm actually glad that it was on TV and not in movie form, because I think the way that they got to flesh it out more really lent itself to this story. Like you got more emotionally involved. Steve always talks about Rogue One and how he can't get into the characters. Well, we know Leia and we know Obi-Wan, we know Luke, we know most of these characters, so we're involved. Mm-hmm. But they really built the emotion of it and the relationship between Leia and Obi-Wan so well that I think having more time to, spend with them, building that relationship instead of just madcap running all over hell and gone in 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think it made it better. Ewan McGregor, God bless him, he slipped on about 18 different things at Celebration that he wasn't supposed to tell us, but he confirmed on the Star Wars live stage that this was going to be a movie. So everything that we were speculating for, the last 3 years that, this show is just the movie chopped into bits and extended was true. It was correct. So now we are the source for Star Wars news and rumors on the internet. So make sure you come here.
Right, you heard it here first.
Yeah, because we know shit. But I liked having seen this. Like as soon as it was over, I was so glad that this was longer form than just a movie. So I'm glad they did that. So it's kind of swayed me a little bit to where I hope we get more movies, but I'm really happy with the way they're doing these shows because the writing is amazing. I love it. It's. I mean, you said it's way better than Book of Boba Fett. I like Book of Boba Fett. I'm sorry. I thought it was cool. I thought there was a lot of cool little Easter eggs in there in the fan service and stuff, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. You get to see a Rancor loose kicking ass. I mean, come on. But
yeah.
But I mean,
my issue with doing it as a TV show, the volume is impressive, but did you notice how dark everything is? Like, there is, I need some artificial lighting, not realistic environmental lighting, because so many times in this show, and I was like digging through images trying to find like thumbnail, material and stuff. Try finding a well lit shot of Obi-Wan in any context. It's not just broad daylight. Anytime it's like nighttime or they're inside of something, everything is so dark and flat. It's like hard to see, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a really good high contrast display to like pick out what's going on in some cases. I mean, it's one way to make sure people don't watch it on their phones, because I would never be able to see what the hell's going on.
I did have that problem when I was watching it on my phone at Celebration, but
yeah.
Our buddy Kale says, yes, but at least with Obi-Wan, it didn't become The Mandalorian season 2.75. I mean, see, Kale, what I would say to that, and everybody complains about that, but I would say that the Book of Boba Fett was always supposed to be a spin-off of The Mandalorian. It was never supposed to stand completely on its own. It's supposed to be like this kind of little offshoot, stuff that was kind of happening at the same time, or at least a little before. So that didn't bother me. Back to your comment about the lighting, AJ, I really think that was kind of a purposeful thing to kind of keep the vibe of, it's not a very happy time. It's not.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Obi-Wan's not in that mindset. It's kind of like how the prequels were all shiny and nice because everybody was happy, everything's new and great. And the original trilogy was all kind of darker and beat up and everything. I feel like it was kind of one of those decisions. So I don't mind the overall darkness. I'm just saying, like, when you're lighting a scene, if they could do something to like throw an accent light or a side fill on the characters to make them stand out from the background a little bit more. Like, I know it's more realistic to have people hard to see when it's dark, but that's not really good for storytelling. Okay. Tyler
like,
Burkhart?
It's like the old thing. Like, anytime someone's in a cave, if they were in a cave for real, it would be pitch black because there's no light getting in. But somehow there's still like a shaft of light, just so people can see what's going on. Yeah. So it's just one of those like dramatic conceits you kind of got to do.
I can see that. Our buddy Tyler Burkhart, he says 100% agree. They did it for the vibe. So he's on Team JT here, so that's good.
Okay.
Kale, he says, also in honor of this show, I'm currently playing Republic Commando on my Switch.
Nice. I got to get that game yet.
Very cool. Yeah, I still
haven't gotten through Knights of the Old Republic, so I'm like 3 LucasArts releases behind on Nintendo right now.
I got annoyed with mine because I was trying to replay Bounty Hunter because they have it on PS4, so I bought it, and right at the beginning of the second mission, the whole game freezes and wonks out. I'm like, screw this. So I got pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really don't have a complaint with it. You always use the term member berries, and just seeing Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan did everything I wanted it to do. I was really into it. And again, it wasn't, and to me what was really cool, I'm glad you and I are talking about this because, on an episode years ago with the Kenobi novel, I was like, what the hell are they going to tell? The guy's sitting in the damn desert. Like, none of this can be that important. And yet they found a way to tell an Obi-Wan story that's actually important.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was awesome. So I give it all the kudos in the world. I mean, the cameos were great. I mean, finale we get, Ian McDiarmid. Can never go wrong with some more Emperor. And, man, when I saw the Force Ghost, I was lying in bed and I was watching and I jumped up and I was like, yeah, like, yes. So,
Oh yeah, Kale brings up a good point here. He says, so Flea was an interesting bit of casting. Yeah, if you recognize your Red Hot Chili Peppers, it's fun. I thought it was him.
It is him. And did you notice? I didn't notice this till I saw the credits of the finale. Do you know who played Roken? Ice Cube's kid.
Oh, seriously?
I was like, oh my God, I knew he looked familiar and I couldn't think of it, but because I've only seen the Straight Outta Compton movie once, but yeah, Ice Cube's kid was in there too.
So what's our faster path to get into one of these productions? Do we actually have to like go straight through Lucasfilm, or should we just like, you work on your music career and then get big enough that you get fan cast?
Well,
you had Zach Braff as the alien in like the 4th episode, and I gotta believe that's because Donald Faison hooked him up through Robot Chicken and everything else.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
so you go like Scrubs to Robot Chicken to right on down the line.
I mean, my Dream Theater podcast is getting some cool interviews. I mean, this Saturday I'm actually interviewing the lead singer, and he's a huge Star Wars fan, so maybe he's run into some Star Wars people. And
Work that connection, buddy.
There we go. So maybe that's how to do it. Tyler Burkhart brings up something that I wanted to, speaking of nostalgia, Tyler says they couldn't have done the hello there any better. Yeah. That was, oh my God, that was awesome. He busted that out a few times. Yeah.
But I think he's talking about the last one with Luke, right?
Yeah. That was just so badass. I mean, the way they call back to that stuff was so cool. And, there was just enough fan service to make it, cool, and there was a lot of new stuff. Yeah, and bringing young Leia and young Luke into it was really, it was great. And the one thing that I really liked was, time to block some porn bots in the chat there.
Hey, that's a sign of success.
Yeah.
It still counts as a view. Who cares?
I know. Yeah, right. That's upped our numbers. The way that they had Obi-Wan, like, he kind of grew stronger with the Force as he, had to. The way he kind of beat the crap out of Vader in that last fight, I thought was really cool. Because, if he's going to, beat Maul within like 2.3 seconds, as we've bitched about on the show multiple times, he better be able to do something to Vader as well. And I liked how they kind of showed, Obi-Wan was better than him. I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool. The one thing, I'm glad they didn't do it in hindsight, but I really was like, I would have been like, this would be awesome in the moment when he buries Obi-Wan and that shows that shot from Obi-Wan's perspective, Vader standing over the edge of the hole. I was thinking to go like, it'd be awesome if he goes, now I have the high ground. Like,
right. Yeah.
In the moment, I was like, that was awesome. And then I thought back a half hour later, I'm like, that would have sucked. It would have been too heavy-handed. But,
So can you answer me something about Vader's voice? Because you read a lot of more of the behind-the-scenes details. Did James Earl Jones do any voice work for this?
Yeah, it's all him.
I heard it was like Hayden Christensen with one hell of a voice processor on or something.
No, they combined the voices of Hayden and James Earl Jones when Vader's mask busted open in the finale. Okay,
then, man, when James Earl Jones was reading his lines for Rogue One, then he must have had like a cold or something, because he sounded old. Like he did 30 years after he recorded his last Darth Vader lines, and in this one he sounds just like Vader. That's why I thought it was some sort of a deep fake or something.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, man, what the hell? Like, I'm thinking maybe he was sick when he had to do Rogue One. Maybe they had him for like a half hour and he hadn't warmed up.
Right? Like the dude's in his 80s or something, right? So I give him a break for not sounding, as vital as he did back in 1975 or 6 when he did the recording.
Right.
But I mean, geez, what an improvement.
Wade Lindemann says, would like the lightsaber hilt to Vader's chest plate. Yeah, that's another thing. They added some cool new moves to the fights. Like, they always kind of like they do little things. Like, at one point, Obi-Wan goes behind his back with the saber. Like, he kind of goes from like right to left. Like, that was kind of cool. All right, so Kale says it's an AI. My buddy Sherrick. What's up, Sherrick? Good to see you, man. James Earl Jones, and they used the voice AI like they used with Luke and Boba Fett. Okay. All right.
So it's a combination.
Yeah. So, and Kale backs much like the one they're using on Mark Hamill and Mando. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. So it was part real, part deep fake. Okay.
So we're still left with the mystery of why can't they get Jabba right?
Well, it was a hell of a lot. They did a hell of a lot better job in frickin' Book of Boba Fett.
Well, that wasn't Jabba. That was a different hut.
I don't care. It was way closer to Jabba than anything besides Jabba in
Right.
frickin' Return of the Jedi. I mean, what the hell?
So you talked about that last fight, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back to that actually because
Sure.
I was crawling YouTube after I watched the episode today, and I watched like Star Wars Explains review video and fell into the comments section and whatnot. Something that struck me that was really cool, like we were talking about the flashback to the just post or pre, I guess it would be just before episode 2, that flashback, right?
Yep.
Because Anakin was a knight in episode 2, wasn't he? He was not still a Padawan, was he? No, he was still a Padawan. He was still a Padawan in episode 2. So I think it was just after episode 2, but just before the Clone Wars, because Ahsoka wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
But the thing I liked about it was I think they tied those two things together. I don't know if that was intentional or maybe I'm just reading into stuff too much. But remember how like Obi-Wan's lesson in that flashback was that Anakin is like trying too hard to like win, and there's alternatives to fighting, and Obi-Wan ended up winning that duel by using Anakin's own weapon against him, right?
Yeah.
The same thing happened in the final fight. Like Vader buries Obi-Wan with all these boulders, and then Obi-Wan uses those same rocks to like fling them at Vader and take him down. Yeah. So it's like the same thing all over again. I thought that was beautiful. You know how like George Lucas liked to like repeat things, like, you know, it's like poetry, it's like a stanza. I think they did that on purpose here too, where it's like, yeah, Obi-Wan beat Vader with his own move, basically.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it's just another, you know, example of the phenomenal writing that we've talked about. I mean, they keep getting it right. And it's, you know, I noticed that too. And little things, you know, Nikolai Ryan Hall, haven't seen you in the chat before, man. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. He says, I love that we finally got an explanation for Vader's scar. Yeah, I completely agree. I noticed that right away too. I was like, oh, the scar. So that was cool. You know, the way that they explain things, and as you said, like the George Lucas isms that these people come up with is just fantastic. And, you know, at first I wondered why they keep going back to the same well of directors, because they had talked about, well, we want diversity, and not saying in ethnicity and gender, stuff like that, but they want diversity in directors.
An old wooden ship, right?
Ron, I highly doubt the network would be concerned about an old woman ship. Wooden, not woman. Sorry. But yeah. So when they kept going back to the well, you know, with Rick Fukuyama, I'm always bad with his last name. You know, Deborah Chow, Bryce Dallas. I'm like, okay. But and then they did the whole Obi-Wan series with Deborah Chow, and I was like, that's interesting. But I'm starting to see why, like, because these people like really, really get it. And they're all on the same page creatively, and they're taking these shows to new areas that we haven't seen, but still giving us enough of the callbacks, like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, a lot of the crap on Twitter, which is a fucking cesspool. If I swear, I could see why people commit suicide because of social media. Social media, like for Star Wars, Twitter's become so awful. It's not even funny, but I'm literally avoiding it. But the stuff I have seen, people are saying they need to stay away from the original trilogy characters. They can't do them right. They just need to stick with new characters. We care about it in The Mandalorian and stuff. I'm like, who doesn't want to see this stuff? And what do you mean they're not getting it right? You know, people just won't let go of the fact that, you know, Obi-Wan in episode 4 is not going to be the same Obi-Wan in, you know, episode 1 or, you know, in the dark times. It's not going to be the same. People are going through stuff. You know, and I think the way they write that into these shows is amazing. And it just continues on and on and on, you know? I mean, Sherrick brings up a good point here. Obi-Wan knows that Anakin's biggest weakness is his anger and aggression. He strives to be the best rather than be the smartest. Yeah. I mean, I don't, you know, I just don't understand what people are looking for. It's, you know, people are saying, oh, they can't get it right. Like, what didn't they get right? this was fantastic. You know, the only thing I think you could say, if you want to say they didn't get it right, and we talked about this briefly, is that, you know, in the first, it's in a couple episodes, but Leia, you know, telling people how they feel is a little bit too much of the, well, you know, she's got the Force, you know, and she could see these things and feel like, if you want to make that nitpick, I suppose that you could, but I mean, it didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, all throughout the series, man, there were just moments of, oh yeah, even in the slower episodes, it was still great. There was always something there that made you go, holy crap! Like, you know, like, I mean, did you get that with every episode? Because even some of them were a little slower. By the end of the episode, I was going, oh my god, this show just rules. They can't get it wrong. Like, did you have that reaction?
There was good points in every episode. Yeah. I don't think there was really any filler episode whatsoever. Every so often, you know, there's like, if they had stretched this out to say 10 episodes, for example, because people love the story and they want more of it, I don't think it would have benefited. I agree with you. I think they hit the sweet spot. I think a feature length movie might have been too short.
Yeah.
But like a truly full season, like if it was 8 episodes like Mandalorian or 10 episodes like a lot of streaming series are, that would have been too much. I think they told exactly the right length of story to give everything they wanted to tell, enough time to breathe, but not enough to like drag it out.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I would say the second episode is probably my least favorite.
Okay.
Watching Reva parkour across rooftops was a little bit ridiculous, but and you know, Leia straight up running away from the only person who's, you know, not trying to actively kill her was a little weird, but it served its purpose though. So I was still okay with it. I'm like, okay, I could take one episode where it seems like this shouldn't be happening, because we still got a lot of like character development, and they did end up in a physically different place at the end of the story. So it served its purpose in the overall narrative. Yeah. I think they did a fantastic job with the pacing. And I think having the same director for every one of the episodes actually really helped the continuity too.
Yeah. I mean, the Leia thing, I didn't really have a problem with her running away. You know, it's kind of one of those things that, you know, she's 10 years old. She's been coddled her whole entire life. And now all of a sudden, within, you know, the span of 24, 48 hours, she's, you know, like she said, she's being shot at, you know, she's, you know, being effed with in every possible way. And so, you know, she might have some trust issues, excuse me. So, I mean, I that's fine. Yeah, I don't know.
Leia was one of my favorite parts of the whole show. Yeah, I was never that big of a Leia fan overall. She was just kind of there for me in the movies. But I don't know why. Just to see her backstory like this and see her at this age and be like, I can actually see like Carrie Fisher's A New Hope. You know, will someone get this walking carpet out of my way? Like,
yeah,
they pulled it off in 10-year-old fashion. It was incredible.
Yep, and that's one of the things that people were complaining about was the acting by the 10-year-old. It's like, dude, she's 10. I mean,
it's Jake Lloyd all over again.
Yeah, and I mean, what do you want? It's a kid acting like a kid. I mean, I thought that the actress they got to play Leia had the moxie. I think she had, you know, the screen presence for it. She was commanding, like Leia was. You know, it wasn't just some little kid doing nothing. So I had no problem with it. You know, so all right. So Sherrick says they need to start giving us our episodes. Miss Marvel is getting our episodes. What's with the short Star Wars episodes? And Kale, yeah. If they give us an hour, there'd be more to complain about every week for the vultures that are social media quote unquote fans.
Right.
You know, Sherrick, I gotta say, I think there's a middle ground there. I think that I think like 45 minutes is like a sweet spot. I think an hour has the potential to get a little bit lengthy, but I definitely would agree that like 35 minutes, I'd like more than that.
Well, I think this series is a little different, right? Because it was originally a movie script. So rather than trying to write to a certain like minute count, they're just kind of cutting it where there's a natural break in the story. So I could see if there's a variance of like 15, 20 minutes between some of the episodes. Yeah. You know, if you've only got like 35 minutes of story in this particular chunk, then okay. I'm good with it.
Yeah. I mean,
now, something like Mandalorian, where you're writing from scratch, yeah, those should be more uniform. I don't get why we have like such short episodes sometimes and like 50 plus minutes on other times.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, don't forget though, guys. I mean, Disney Plus has to have time to fit in 13 minutes of credits at the end of every episode. What the f that is about? What the f that's about? I have no idea. Like,
dude, I just know now. Anytime I look at a runtime, subtract 7 minutes minimum.
Yeah. Well, what the hell is that? There's my complaint. What is with effing credits, Disney Plus? What the hell? Good God, that's crazy.
You want movie level production, you're going to get movie level staff, which means movie length credits.
Yeah, like isn't there's a Q&A after, because the whole thing is like an hour and a half or something, the finale, but the actual episode itself is like 46 minutes, I want to say. So, but you, like I said, you got to get through those damn credits.
I didn't even know there was a Q&A. I turned it off because as soon as the credits roll, I'm like, all right, it's done.
Yeah, somebody told me it's like a total of an hour and a half, and there's a Q&A after it. I didn't. I had to turn it off right away too to go do stuff. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, dude, the show as a whole just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I think, for something that we were looking forward to, that we knew existed, and really potentially we didn't really have a need for. Like, what is Obi-Wan doing while Luke and Leia are growing up? Who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really,
what the hell was his job anyway?
Think about it, like, you know,
were they just?
He was just there to keep an eye on Luke.
No, I mean, like, what was his job when the show started? Like, was that just a bunch of people going out and cutting hunks of meat out of a carcass or something?
Yeah, he was like a butcher. He was a butcher. See, that's the
just
thing.
Some massive thing out in the desert that they had to go out there for like weeks at a time and just carve.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
What a crazy thing.
Well. And I was thinking
maybe it was a crate dragon.
That's what I thought it was. I'll be honest with you. I really did. At the end, I was thinking, man, if I'm Obi-Wan, I'm like, you know, hey, Bail, did you a solid. How about giving me a shitload of money so I don't have to go sweat in a freaking butcher shop all the effing time? I'm going to go live in a damn cave on the side of a mountain. Give me some money. I want to DoorDash some shit. Like, I don't want to go out eating Jawas and Tuscans all the time. I need some good stuff, man. Give me some effing credits.
Dude, how great was that at the start where Obi-Wan's like, look, if you're gonna steal my parts, could you at least clean them before selling them back to me?
Yeah.
Cleaning costs extra.
Yep. A classic Star Wars line has been born. You know that one's gonna get used over and over again.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Yeah, it's So
let me ask you.
Okay.
I got two questions, so we'll start with the easier one. What was your favorite old thing in the series?
My favorite old thing of the series. Let's see. I mean, the easy answer is Qui-Gon Jinn.
Hey, more porn.
Yeah, I know.
They just keep coming.
That's okay. More clicks, more views. So, yeah, I would say, I mean, the obvious answer is Qui-Gon Jinn because I'm a huge Qui-Gon fan. God, I'm trying to think what it would be outside of that. Let me think about it. What about yours? What is yours?
For me, it was. I mean, it's too obvious to just say Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love seeing Ewan McGregor back, but I would have to say probably outside of that, Owen and Beru, actually. It was really cool to see those actors reprise their roles, especially since in the comics they've really like fleshed out those characters more. So they actually had more to do than just be a throwback to the original trilogy. So that was really cool to see for me. I like that a lot, and I like that they really like dug into their relationship with Luke and their relationship with Obi-Wan. I thought that was really cool, especially for people who haven't read the comics.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say, for me, I mean, obviously seeing the Imperial shuttle I loved because that's my second favorite Star Wars vehicle. Honestly, I'm gonna say I really liked the portrayal of Bail Organa, seeing the father side of him. That and actually seeing Alderaan in some detail was cool. So
Yeah.
you know, I really like that. You know, the Bale as a dad stuff kind of, you know, hits you in the feels a little bit. It's a different side of the character. And actually seeing Alderaan and being like, 'cause now you kind of have that understanding of what was destroyed in episode 4. You're like, ooh, wow, man. Wow.
Also,
So,
we finally get some positive like father models in Star Wars instead of, you know, Darth Vader or Han Solo, the guy who basically ran out on his failed marriage and his poor parenting. And yeah, sorry, dude,
Right.
that is what happened.
Well, you
like
know,
people suck as fathers in Star Wars. It's nice to see that, like, you know, Bale and Uncle Owen take it seriously, right?
yeah. So Sherrick says he likes when they finally brought in the original music scores. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one battle they had like the Battle of Hoth music going on, like in the finale when the ship was escaping. That was pretty cool. They had a lot of callbacks to that stuff, which was awesome. Yeah. Well, you might know this, AJ. Kale wants to know, was the finale basically Old Blood, but Riva instead of Maul?
I don't know, because I don't know what Old Blood is.
Is Old Blood the damn Rebels episode with that horrific, stupid, quote-unquote lightsaber battle between Maul and Obi-Wan? Ugh. And don't get into that again, Kale, because it was crap, and we're not having that discussion again.
Yeah, I don't remember what that episode was called, but I don't think so. I want to say it was like Twilight of the Apprentice or something. Or was I think it was Twilight of the Apprentice. Anyway,
I thought it was called Stupid Freaking Idea, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bail Organa as a father and Alderaan, and because, you know, the low hanging fruit for me, it was Qui-Gon. I mean,
okay.
I knew they had to show him after he kept, like, you know, kind of reaching for him in the first couple episodes. Like, okay, they're not just gonna like tease that and not show it. It's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that they did,
I was getting worried, actually. I was getting worried because they did drop it. I'm like, okay, what's the thing called? Chekhov's gun, I think. It's that thing that says, like, if you mention something, you must pay it off later.
I
so like when he was talking about when he was trying to commune with Qui-Gon, I'm like, okay, we got to see Qui-Gon. But then like everything seemed to be wrapping up, and I'm like, there's no more story to tell, and we haven't seen a Qui-Gon yet.
Yep. And just the whole, like, that's how they led into, you know, him learning how to commune through the Force. Like, God, that's cool. Hey, it's KXM. What's up, KXM? Scary. Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, dude. All right, so Kale explains, no, there was an old comic where Maul went after Luke and Obi-Wan stood with Owen and Beru to save Luke, and I'm reading like an idiot. There was an old comic where Maul went after Luke and Obi-Wan stood with Owen and Beru to save Luke and the homestead from Maul and an army of Tuskens. Yeah, I mean, that actually could be, Kale, because they're doing a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, they're bringing a lot of
Was that in the current continuity, or was that one of the things that got wiped away with the Disney purchase? Question to Kale.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's something that got wiped away, but I mean, they're doing a lot of that stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, they did that. So
yeah, was I the only one that got little bit of Last Jedi vibes off the start of the finale? Like the whole chase through space thing. I was like, if that is a reference, that's the wrong thing to reference. I don't think anyone wants reminded of that part of Last Jedi.
I like Last Jedi, so I don't care. You can reference it all you want. Yeah, I mean, a teeny bit, I suppose, but at least you know the escape craft this time was dodging and whatnot. So instead of just
that was one thing, that transport they were on, that was a nimble piece of shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
That thing was swerving back and forth. I'm like, what the hell is this? Star Destroyer is just moving a straight line. This thing's like bing, 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 bing.
Yep.
I would love to have seen them cut to the inside of the ship as that's going on, because you know people were getting tossed.
People puking everywhere, getting air sick, like little kids flying off their parents' laps and everything. That would be amazing. They just keep cutting back to scene. Every time they cut back to a scene of someone talking in the interior of the ship, there's more puke and people are cut up in the face, and you know, looks like they're in a train wreck. Oh my God, that's well. All right,
Uh-oh.
so
Uh-oh.
here goes Kale. On that note, why did they not just use the small ship with the hyperdrive in the first place? Maybe it didn't fit all the people. Maybe it did not hold enough people. So,
If we're gonna be nitpicking on hyperdrive stuff, the problem I have is I just realized today watching it that like everybody like just jumps to hyperspace, right? What about that line in A New Hope where Han Solo's like, it takes time to calculate a hyperspace route, dude. You got to sit down and chill. Like the Falcon takes forever. Everybody else is just like, bing, I'm gone.
Well, that's because Han Solo's crappy at math. That's what they don't tell you. He failed interspace trigonometry. So when he's trying to do all the calculations, he's like, a squared plus b squared. That's why Chewie's always roaring, because instead it's not like a nervous roar. What he's actually saying is he's going, "What the hell, you dumbass? How many years you got to do this before you get it right? It's taking you forever for like 25 years." And Han's just over there with his tongue sticking out like,
right? I mean, clearly he can't do math. You see what he did with the Kessel Run.
Yeah, exactly.
Not if you round down. No, not even if you round down. You're wrong, dude.
Good Lord, what is it with you? God bless America. Like Tyler Burkhart. He said, "Just let Vader kill me. Please quit swerving." That's awesome. All right, so Sherrick has a question for us both, and then I know you had a second question. Sherrick wants to know, anything you guys would have done differently? I'll let you take that one first.
Oh, man, you're going to let the nitpickiest of the two hosts take it first? Come on, dude.
That's why I gave it to you.
Oh, this is supposed to be a love letter. Okay. I think that Kenobi should have gotten his ass kicked in the finale to where he only escaped, not won. I thought that would have been a better way to explain how he was more feeble 10 years on from then. And also the whole alternatives to fighting thing. So instead of actually defeating Vader in combat, other people came in to like save the day, distract Vader until he could get away, that kind of thing. And then that would explain why basically like Obi-Wan had given up on him. He's like, all right, screw it, man. I can't beat him. The dude I knew is not there anymore. Like I actually thought that's what was going to happen. I thought Reva was going to like come in last second and fight Vader one last time, just long enough to basically die and give Kenobi time to escape.
I thought the exact same thing. That was like the one prediction that I had. I was like, I think that's how Obi-Wan's going to escape.
Yeah, I really don't know what Reva's purpose was in going after Luke. Like she already admitted that her reasons for doing this in the first place were bad to begin with. So to continue on after she already was like, yeah, that's not really what my plan was. I wasn't trying to be an Inquisitor, but I'm going to go kill this kid anyway.
Well, I mean,
or was it that she knew it was Vader's kid and she's like, we can't have a second Vader running around?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, she knew that Obi-Wan was protecting Leia, so now that she knows there's someone else he needs to protect, she was probably like, all right, you're going to protect her, but you're not going to protect this one. Like, I'm going to slaughter one of them. So
yeah, but
that's kind of how I read it.
Her beef was never with Kenobi in the first place. Kenobi was just a means to draw Vader out.
Yeah, but I think she was trying to be the whole, no, I really am dark side. I really am dark side. I'm gonna prove this. And she still wanted Vader. I mean, Vader tried to kill her and stuff. So,
Oh, maybe it's like a Vader thing where there's nowhere else to turn at this point. So dive in head first.
If you can't beat him, join him. Could be.
Yeah.
Kale, that dude that killed all the kids has a kid. That doesn't seem fair. Nice. Yeah,
nice Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness reference, by the way.
Yeah. I liked that Obi-Wan kicked Vader's butt. I thought that was cool. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. I like that. I just think it would have been too much wussy Obi-Wan if they would have had it go down your way, and that would have kind of pissed me off. Because if you're gonna show me Obi-Wan, you gotta at least give me some vintage Obi-Wan. So I like that. Something I would change. Huh. Man, I gotta be honest. I can't really think of anything. Put biker scouts in it. More biker scouts. I love.
You got
biker
purge
scouts.
troopers.
Yeah. Yeah.
More purge troopers. That's what we needed. It was cool to see them, and they did dick all nothing. So
yeah, yeah.
They were chumps.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Sherrick. I can't think of something. I liked how they handled everything. I really did. I mean, anything I would say that I would change would be nitpicking. Really. I really can't think of something. So
okay.
Yeah. I liked what they did. So I thought it was fine.
All right. Well, actually, I have two other questions. The back half of the first one of what was your favorite old thing was going to be what was your favorite new thing?
My favorite,
like a new character, or yeah, like something that they put in the show that hadn't been seen before.
Do Inquisitors count? Because we saw him in Fallen Order. So, and we saw him in Rebels. So I guess that doesn't count.
I think there were two new Inquisitors. Reva was one, and was it the fifth sister? I think it was. The other two were from Rebels.
Yeah. I feel like that's low hanging fruit. See, this is how you can tell I enjoyed it and have to go back and rewatch it because I don't remember it. I remember the
Can I
basics.
answer my own question first then to try to get the wheels turning for you?
Yeah, go for it.
I've got a few things. The path. I love that they established this underground railroad sort of thing for Jedi. That was cool.
Yes.
Young Leia, like I said, we hadn't seen the kids at that age, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in I always want to call him Riken. Roken? What?
Roken.
The Roken, yeah. I feel like he's going to I feel like he's going to stick around in other stories. You know, they got that Endor series coming up that's 5 years after this one. I could totally see him coming back.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So I like all of those little plot threads they put in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about the path. I do have to say one of the problems is our TV in the bedroom is really quiet. I mean, to the point where we finally started putting frickin' subtitles on because it's like, dude, we literally had the TV at 100 today, and I was like, huh, a couple times, and even my wife, like, granted I'm half deaf, but even my wife who can actually hear stuff was like, what the hell? So that may play into me not remembering certain things.
Oh, we also don't know what happens to Reva, do we?
No. So yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you. The path, like that adds a layer to the Jedi lore, and I'm a huge fan of that stuff. So I do agree that was really, really cool. So I really enjoyed that. Anytime you get more stuff that's Jedi related, I like it. So, you know, I mean, does seeing more of Alderaan count? Because that was technically new. I can go back to use the same thing.
How do you feel about the revelation that Obi-Wan has a brother?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
I mean, that's way too big a revelation for them not to do something with it, right? Like, you don't just leave that hanging out there.
Yeah. I mean,
he could be a total nobody, though. That's the thing. Like, just because you're his brother doesn't mean you're like this all-powerful Jedi like your brother who's been raised by the Council, you know, on Coruscant his whole life. He could just be like a friggin' nobody. He could be like fixing speeder bikes for chump change, you know, back on Stu John.
Exactly.
Me too.
Yeah.
Kale coming in
Kale,
hot.
seriously. there's Sherrick or Toby-Wan. There's Obi-Wan and Toby-Wan. Kale says there's Obi-Wan and that his brother be Obi too, right? Oh, jeez. Wow. All right. By the way, Sherrick says that's why they make sound bars, John. Look, the way the room's laid out, I can't. So, believe me, I've thought about that.
Earbuds.
Yeah. Well, I'm about
Earbuds.
to, but my wife's like, I don't want to put that thing in my ear. I'm like, well, then we won't hear.
There's a lot of things she doesn't want to put in holes.
Jeez. To a dark place, this line of yeah, Joe Kenobi just sitting on a couch somewhere. Where's your brother? He's off doing that Jedi crap again. Do you have the Force? I don't know. Grab me.
I voted for Palpatine, man.
Yeah.
More emergency powers. That's what I say.
They just turn it into a brother battle. Like one's a liberal, one's a conservative. Yeah, I like that they kind of it humanized Kenobi a little bit to say, yeah, I had a brother, whatever. But I think it's one of those things that they needed that they can just leave alone. Kind of like, the stuff that we always say we like about Solo. They didn't delve too much into how he got his name, how he gets the DL-44. It's just, these nice, simple little things, and it's just, okay, let's move on. So him saying, yeah, I had a brother, like, it was cool to have that little bit of backstory because it kind of humanizes him a little bit. But I think having to dig into it at any point is superfluous. Especially considering we have
like something that's going to happen in a comic book. That has a very comic kind of feel to it.
Yeah. I just don't think it's necessary, and especially with a character like Obi-Wan, you've got all this stuff that you know about him. If the brother comes in and isn't some superhero right off the bat, it would feel kind of strange. Like, I would understand it, but if some guy just all of a sudden comes forward and is like, I'm your brother, like, huh? And also, it would kind of, it would, in a way, kind of mirror the, no, I am your father. Like, So.
But what if it comes out that he was banging Satine, huh? Like, he slid in there after Obi-Wan went off to the council and became a knight. He's like, all right, sloppy seconds, here we go.
Yeah, but what if they're twins and he did that? Obi-Wan, you're back. Yes, that's right. I am back. I am Obi-Wan.
Hello there.
Exactly. That's all he does. Hello there. She's just all about hooking up with some Obi-Wan, and it's actually Toby-Wan. I think that's going to be his name from now on the show. Obi-Wan's twin brother, Toby-Wan. So,
no, the Jedi are all about like loops and circles and the purity of it, like a perfect circle. I think I'm going to go with Moby-Wan.
Oh, like a Mobius strip? Jeez.
No, dude. Moby. From Tool. Perfect Circle.
I hate those bands. Those bands suck ass. Don't be referencing that shit.
Hashtag triggered. I knew I could get you.
Ugh. Yeah. No wonder I didn't know it. In my mind, I'm going, Moby Dick, the whale, Moby Dick, the song, Mobius strip. Mobius strip, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, maybe he's got a fat brother named Moby-Wan.
There it is. The twin is fat. Yeah, overall, dude, I thought that they did a really good job with this show. It lived up to the hype for me. I know that this was something when it was announced, everyone's like, holy crap. And, sometimes when something is built up like this much, either by actual marketing or in a case like this, like in our collective imagination, because we're like, oh my God, Ewan McGregor is back, and you have to wait 3+ years for this thing. It's hard to live up to that. It's hard to live up to that hype and to that expectation, and a lot of things have crumbled under the weight of it. And I don't think this did at all. At the very least, getting Ewan McGregor back in that role exactly as we remembered him, just a little more aged, totally paid off. And what do you think?
I think so too. The one name we haven't mentioned to give enough credit to yet is Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
To get him back, and I'm glad that the fandom is finally recognizing him and giving him all the love. And apparently he was the guy in the suit like the whole time.
I think it was a stunt double for most of it. I read that, but I read that, but don't know for sure.
And then, anytime the helmet was off, it was him. So he was the guy under the makeup.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, his performance was great. Vader was like spot on in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to talk about that for a second because, man, we've talked about on the show before about how, like, I was never really able to connect Vader to the guy in the suit to the hero of the Republic, right? Like, Hayden Christensen never really reminded me enough of like David Prowse stomping around in a costume. And I felt like this show was like the perfect blend of those two things.
Yep.
Like he was just agile enough that you're like, yeah, okay, he's moving better than original trilogy Vader, but he's not all acrobatic like Hayden was doing back in episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect in between. And maybe I'm biased because I just finished up that Brotherhood book right as this show came out. And there's a little like subplot in there about Anakin right after he got his arm chopped off in episode 2 having to adjust to the prosthetic arm.
Yeah.
And now it's like a little slow and he can't quite, like, he's just a little off.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was deliberately timed. The release of the book was deliberately timed, just like the Force healing was introduced with Grogu, so Rise of Skywalker would make sense when Rey used it.
Yeah.
Like that one little thing of, oh yeah, my arm don't work so good because it's a robot part. So now this dude has like all robot limbs, and that's why he's stomping around like a Frankenstein's monster instead of the agile Jedi that we all remember.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like that perfect tweener where it just, now I can actually believe that Anakin Skywalker ended up in that suit and it's the same guy with some severe emotional issues.
Yep. Well, and they also showed him, I completely agree. They also showed more violent Vader, which they, started that trend with Rogue One and, the hallway scene at the end. And
I don't think he ever used the saber with both hands, though. He was still just one-handing everything, which I don't know if that was to show how strong he was or if there was like a problem with his left hand.
That I don't know.
That was the first one that got chopped off.
Yeah. That I don't know, but man, I mean, Vader walking down that street and just snapping necks with the Force.
That was great.
I was like, oh my God, yeah. Now that's what you picture when you picture Vader, just him like wiping people out. And that Force choke on Reva when he comes into the room and just just throws her up in the air. Is like, you were warned what would happen to you if you failed. Like he's like kind of yelling. I mean, that was just so cool. It's more Vader payoff, which is never, ever, ever a bad thing. And man.
Yeah, I think Sherry nailed it here. Like the makeup wasn't convincing at all with that flashback. It was clearly, people 20 years older trying to play younger than the last time you saw that era of their lives. But yeah, Sherrick says we needed more flashbacks of Anakin to give Hayden more scenes to prove he's a good actor. Yeah, because as unconvincing as he was as a teenage Padawan at 40 or whatever age he is now, he got better at acting because he's got decades more experience now. Imagine that.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with like how they looked in the in the flashback scene. Maybe that was, could they have de-aged them a little bit more? Yeah, but again, that's one of those things like I figure if that's what I'm nitpicking, then the show's kicking ass. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm going, Anakin could have looked a little younger for the 45 seconds we saw him on screen. Like if that's what you're bitching about, that means everything around it is good. So I'm not, the other thing, I could also not have Anakin Skywalker back on screen. I could also not have Darth Vader on screen kicking ass. I could also not have Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I'm not going to nitpick things like that. It was just great to see. Having Hayden Christensen back was awesome. Cale McLeish says, I wish Hayden was in it more given all the promo he got. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Cale, but I think again, maybe this is a celebration thing, but some of these characters are more popular than people realize, and I think when you go to a celebration, you kind of see that, because anytime that guy walked out on a stage, the place just absolutely erupted, and so, as much as I like to complain about Star Wars social media and Twitter and stuff, I really think that's a vocal minority of people. And these characters are so popular, even just a little bit is cool. So, because I think a lot of us are happy to just have any of it. Going back to Qui-Gon, I could easily bitch, oh, I only saw him on screen for like 30 seconds. He had only a couple lines of dialogue. Like, yeah, but I got Qui-Gon, and it was cool. And it set up, what Obi-Wan's doing for the next 10 years. So, would I have liked to seen more Hayden Christensen? Sure. But was I happy getting what I got? Oh, yeah. I mean, it was it was incredible.
It's like you said, like this show gives these characters room to breathe. Like the same way the Clone Wars fleshed out the prequel characters more, because you only get like snapshots. You got 2 hours and change to like tell this entire story in a movie theater. And, a lot of the criticisms of the prequels, especially, was, how wooden the performances were and how these are not like believable characters and they're poorly acted and whatever. The nice thing about that, though, is then you can take your time on a show like this to actually flesh them out, so you can view it like the movies are like snapshots in their lives, and then you've got this series that shows you how they get from this version to that version. So it actually, for me, it improves the movie performances. It improves Hayden Christensen's performances, because now it's, we use the TV shows to inform the characters that you see stuck in place, so to speak, in the movies.
Yeah.
I like that there's room to like flesh out those characters, because they spend more time on action than character development in the movies.
Yeah. And I was actually going to bring that up, so I'm glad you did. I thought that seeing Vader this evil and this kind of brutal, I mean, it really made his performance as, teenage Anakin, I think, that much stronger, because people are like, oh, he's a whiny snot, he's this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, but he's kind of such an a-hole on that term, or at that time, where he is kind of annoying. Like, he's that annoying teenager. It's a little extreme. That it kind of makes sense, because now as an adult in the Vader suit, he's extremely evil. So it kind of speaks to, the I'm going to use the word again, the extremes of his personality, I thought. So I think it just, like you said, it enhanced what we saw in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So I'm in complete agreement with you on that. It was
episode 3 always struck me as like a little bit of like a tantrum. So that's why I always had a hard time buying that bridge from, he starts the movie as a hero fighting alongside Obi-Wan, and then by the end he's like, no, everything that you ever taught me is bullshit, man. Like, okay, that's a bad day. You had a bad day. Maybe we sit down and talk about this, okay? Take a breath. Have some dip.
Nice.
But to catch up with him 10 years on, and to have him be like, no, I got reasons. I've been thinking about this, and I am convinced that what I did was the thing I should have done.
Yeah.
Now you buy into it more.
Yeah. Tyler Burkhart says, I think they could have easily overdid the flashbacks and done too much. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it could have been done maybe a little bit more. It would have been fine, but not too much more. I think I completely agree with you, Tyler. Sherrick says, do you feel like they used the volume too much and it made it look too TV? That is the comment from somebody, or a comment from someone who tuned in late to the show, because we actually discussed that at the beginning. So when we're done here, Sherrick, just hit rewind, and we actually discussed that. AJ brought that up, and he doesn't think they used the volume too much, but he does think that he would have liked to have seen this show with an actual film budget rather than a TV budget. So
yeah, the limits did show themselves a couple of times, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, overall, I just thought it was a great show. One of the other things I thought was kind of cool was how the Grand Inquisitor at the end kind of stood up to Vader a little bit. He wasn't necessarily just like everybody else, like kowtowing to him. He didn't say, when Vader's like, I'm going after Kenobi, he was like, all right, whatever. We told him, he was like, we could end this little cell right now, but quit worrying about one damn Jedi. What the hell? So I thought that was really cool. Kind of showed how powerful the Grand Inquisitor really is. So I like that. I like that they didn't kill off the Grand Inquisitor, because I think that's a really cool character. I mean, overall, like, going back to something I said earlier, like every episode just had something that was cool. And it was a cool blend of things that we hadn't seen either live action or at all, with things that we knew. And I was telling my wife, I was telling Steph that, as we were watching this, I was like, man, they're doing a really good job of creating tension with characters we already know what happens to them. We know these people all survive, so how are they going to get there? And I think that's one of the reasons I like this show the most, is because it has that Revenge of the Sith feel. And I've said it how many times on the show that one of the things I love about Revenge of the Sith is that we know that he's going to turn into Vader at the end. We know everything, all the shit hits the fan. But it wasn't just a dumb, okay, I'm mad now. I'm a dumb little kid. Now I'm a whiny teenager and looking evil. Now I'm super evil. I'm the worst guy in the galaxy. Like, there was actually like a reason for it. And, we knew how they were going to get there. And I really liked how the path they took to get there. And I think that the Obi-Wan show does the exact same thing.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So to put a little bit of a bow on this, I have a final question for you.
Okay.
So based on a couple of the dangling plot threads and whatnot, where do they go from here? And it's a two-parter, because people have been clamoring online like, season 2 of Kenobi. So question 1 is, do you want a season 2 of Kenobi? And 2 is like, what plot threads that they began in this do you think are going to be pulled on in like the Andor series or something like that down the road?
I think a season 2 of Kenobi would be anticlimactic. So I don't think that's something that I would be into. I mean, I would obviously eat it up, and let's be honest. We talk about how they write things so fantastically well that, I don't think they could screw it up really. So it'd be cool, but I just kind of see it as anticlimactic, because once you've had Vader in it and you get two or three battles with Obi-Wan and Vader, what are you going to do with the next one? So I don't think there's going to be a season 2. I think they should let sleeping dogs lie, even though I would love to see more of Ewan McGregor. Yeah, Reva is an obvious one. They got to do something there. The Inquisitors, obviously, we know are going to be showing up throughout. And I really agree with your point about Rogan and, him potentially showing up as kind of like a leader figure in Andor. So I like that. And that, what's his name? Haja? Yes. I think he could show up again, because he's one of those characters that's, he's a good guy, but he's kind of got that Han Solo, like he could be kind of a dick at the same time type of thing to him. And, Star Wars likes to use those types of characters. So I think we could see him again. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they'll just do like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and instead it'll be like Roken and Haja.
I'd be down for something like that, actually. That'd be cool. Like, let's write a whole show around new spin-off characters. So you don't know what their fates are going to be. Like I said, as soon as they drop that whole thing, like, you're a leader, Roken, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, he's going to be part of some sort of rebel story coming up in Andor. Like, it's too obvious to where like I would actually be like sad, but also okay if they kill him off, because it seems so obvious that they're going to make him something down the road, that if they instead are like, nah, actually this mission went bad, he didn't come back. Okay, that would be actually a swerve for a change, because nobody friggin' died in this. Reva got stabbed through the gut with a lightsaber. She survived. Grand Inquisitor got stabbed through the gut with a lightsaber. She survived. Vader got his ass handed to him. He survived. Like, the only one that died was that anonymous Jedi at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, like, I need to see a little bit more stakes in my Star Wars, because now apparently nothing kills you unless it's like, a decapitation on screen. So
is that begs the question. Are lightsaber wounds becoming the Star Wars equivalent of finishing moves in the WWE?
Dude, yes. Yes. Come on. Qui-Gon was the only one who went out like a punk to a gut shot. You get shot in the gut with a blaster, you get robot guts. You get stabbed with a lightsaber, bandage them up, and go right back out there. WWE
Right.
style. You know, you get a rib injury, you put the giant
Oh,
tape
my
on it,
God.
and you're good to
Yeah.
go.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I'm
So-
with you though, by the way. Season 2 of Kenobi, no thanks. That one to me would feel like everybody knows it only exists because people wanted more story, not because there was more story to tell.
Yeah. So 2 things from Kale here real quick, and then we can get out of here for the night. Kale says, didn't Reva get stabbed when she was a kid too? No, she says she played dead. So that was kind of like...
It was vague because they intercut Order 66 with her stabbing in present time. So they really did make it look like she was straight up stabbed.
Yeah, I just thought it was like a playing dead type of thing. And then he asks, didn't Ewan pretty much spell out there's at least 4 episodes left? I did not see that. I've seen a lot of speculation that there is a season 2, but I've seen some like official people saying no, there's not. So
it might have been like the way they cut the episodes. So maybe they had 10 episodes and they made it 6 instead, kind of a thing.
Like yeah, there's 4 episodes on the cut, like 4 episodes worth of stuff on the cutting room floor or something. So
or
I mean,
just
that
the way
could be.
they cut them together, it ended up being 6 episodes instead of 10 smaller ones.
Yeah, I mean that could be. So, well, cool, man. I know you are going to be back here on Friday night with Kenobi Roundtable, which is going to be really, really cool. You've got some great guests, so why don't you tell everybody about what's going on Friday night?
Yeah, so we like to do the occasional Friday show here, so we're going to use our WTF Friday for WTK Friday, which stands for, well, that's Kenobi. Yeah, that was a joke for an audience of 1. I knew you would like that, John.
Oh my God! That's
anyway,
awesome.
So yeah, we're doing a Kenobi roundtable, and we got a good group of guests coming on. It's going to be 5 or 6 minimum. Plus, there's an open invite out to a couple other people. We're going to have Mark from the Rebels Revisited podcast. He's coming on to talk about this. He's a huge fan of the show, obviously, because of the Inquisitors being involved and everything. We've got Justin from the Outer Rim Beacon podcast coming on. We've got Sean, the Vandalorian, friend of show, coming on. Also friend of Mocktails from the Cantina.
Yep.
We got our buddy Thrasher coming on. So he's going to talk about his stuff, and he's a big Vader honk, so that should be interesting. And a couple others as well. So yeah, we're going to have a big old...
Don't forget. Sorry to interrupt, but don't forget our very good buddy Spencer Jowitz, who
Yes.
is the creator and host of the Bunta Eve Cantina. That's I think is the coolest Star Wars party there is at Celebration, and he's from the Virtual Cantina Network, so he will also be on. He's been on our show. Super cool guy, so he'll be another guest.
Yeah, there's going to be a moderated discussion. So I'm actually going to be doing very little talking. That's why I got all my opinions out tonight. I'm just going to be moderating, putting questions up on for everybody else to give their thoughts on. So we'll get some good banter going on. We'll be on at 8:15, same time we go live with this show, and we'll run until we're out of steam. Basically, could be an hour and a half, could be 2 hours. Who knows?
You know what sucks about that is that's something I would totally watch, and I wouldn't jump in because that's the WTF Fridays, or in this case WTK Fridays. That's your thing, man. But you're starting at 8:15, and you'll go a couple hours, whatever. I'm playing from 8 to midnight, so even if I wanted to tune in for a little bit, I can't even do it. Like, damn. So, but that's definitely something I'm gonna be going back and watching. So I love that you're doing that, because those guys, they are talkers, all of them, and it's gonna make.
We
for
do have a
damn
couple
good
other
episode.
guests that I failed to mention, and I don't want to piss
Okay.
them off because, we got other stuff in the works. We also have the guys from the Discography Discussion podcast coming on.
Oh, nice. So you got Joe. You got Joe and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
So yeah, like I said, I don't know how StreamYard works with 6 to 8 people on at once, or how we're gonna not talk over each other, but let's find out.
Yeah. Hey.
And drinks are welcome. So if you're sober while doing it, why?
You're doing it wrong. Sounds like my show, my gig on Friday. Drinks are welcome. So yeah, man, this was fun. Appreciate you jumping on with me. It was great to talk about it. Again, very fortuitous timing that the finale hit the same night that we were doing a show. So this is, kind of makes up for the fact that one of our previous shows should have fallen on May 25th, but we were at Celebration and didn't do a show. So
Yeah.
that was not fortuitous. Bib fortuitous. Anyway, there's
That's a terrible joke.
Hey, well, hey, Kale had one, I had one, you had one, so there we go.
There's
but
Toby Wan. Yep.
Yeah, Moby Wan. So yeah, guys, appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us. Sherritt, good to see you. Tyler Burkhart, of course, Kale. Hopefully, Kale, I will be seeing you on Saturday, even though it's going to be crazy late for you. But Saturday at 1 p.m., you know what's going down on the Talking Into Infinity show. But KXM Scary, great to see you again, man. To all you guys, much appreciated. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. If you are watching on YouTube, if you're on a replay, please click that like and subscribe button. And as you see, if you come and watch us live, we can bring your comments up on the screen. We want you to be a part of the show. And the show is live every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you're into gaming on Twitch, go ahead and check out our buddy Steve, our sometime co-host. He actually has not been doing a lot of that lately, but he is doing Nerf Herder games. So go check out the Nerf Herder Council on Twitch if you want to catch some live video games with Steve. And till next time, I'm your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
And we will catch you guys next time.